All right, welcome back to another edition of Dollar Bin Digging. This is the video and article that I do for comicbookinvest.com, where I talk about those cheap books, those books you still might be able to find in those dollar bins, those cheap boxes, those back issue bins for basically nothing. That I still might have some room to grow. Just some fun stuff just to keep an eye out for. So that being said, hopefully you're enjoying this series as well as all the other content that I'm doing on my channel. If you are, please like, subscribe, hit the alert button, and just hang on for a few more seconds, and I'll be right back with the books after the intro. Okay, so if you watch my live show that I do with Marco on Wednesdays, you'll see that we covered Shang Chi this week because the movie has been out now a couple of weeks, and I finally got to see it last weekend, and I did thoroughly enjoy it. So we talked about some stuff there, and Marco kind of piqued my interest doing when he did his C list, and gave me an idea for a book that we could cover here today, as well as a couple more that got my wheels spinning as we were as I've been thinking about it since we filmed on Wednesday. So hopefully you're checking out that live Wednesday show. We do it every Wednesday, 9 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time on here on Rennavision. So check it out. Next week, I think we're doing Brian K. Vaughan stuff. It's a little why The Last Man. Maybe we'll talk a little about Saga and his other books. But that being said, this week, since I've got Shang-Chi on the brain, that's what we are going to talk about again. Just a couple of books that I think I still kind of find interesting and just some look ahead opportunities. Because the movie's done, and we know we're going to get a sequel. The thing has done so well critically and commercially, considering we're in the middle of a pandemic, that we're going to be getting another movie. And even got the tease that we're getting more of the 10 Rings. Not specifically Shang-Chi, but we're getting the 10 Rings returning soon. So what does that mean? Are we going to see that villainous organization take part in something like Armor Wars or something else on the Disney Plus line? Is it going to get its own series? I don't know what that exactly means. But even though the character in the movie, his sister, wasn't actually directly drawn from any, of his relatives that he has in the current comic book lore, she is pretty close now. After seeing the ending with her taking over the 10 Rings, sorry if I'm spoiling things, but again, it's been a few weeks. Seeing that her taking over, she's getting a little bit closer to one of Fu Manchu's daughters. Now, again, the whole movie, they completely rewrote Shang-Chi's history. His father's no longer Fu Manchu. He's Zheng Zhu, but in the movie, he's Wen Wu. They're just kind of moving things around, I guess, to get a little more distance from some of the sketchier things from the past. But that being said, there's still loose ties to things that I think are worth noting. And one of Fu Manchu's daughters first premiered in Hands of Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu, issue 26, pretty early in the run, and she plays an important role, in the series. Like for a while, she was an important sibling of his. She went by a couple of names: Fa Lo Su, I guess, Sui. I don't know if I'm saying that right. And Zheng Bao Yu was also a name that she went by. And again, she kind of took over a couple of times throughout the books for her father, like the organization. So that's why I'm now drawing that connection to the MCU canon. Again, MCU doesn't follow comics directly. They take inspiration, they take the bits that they like, and they twist it and tweak it to fit, the stories that they're trying to tell. So using that kind of framework, that's how I'm tying back what I'm looking at here with what they're doing with his sister and what they might do with her going forward, is by looking at who I see her closest connection might be, this character here in Master of Kung Fu 26. So Xia Ling is his sister in the films. No direct connection to the comics as of now, but like I said, I'm drawing this connection and seeing where we might go with her in the future, because again, we know she's now taken over the 10 Rings, and the 10 Rings will be back with or without her brother. So again, the character's been around for a while. She's been back in a few different forms, like through the ages, kind of revamped, restarted. But again, she still takes over, I don't want to say the company, but she takes over the organization and runs it as his sister is doing. So that's why I'm drawing that connection. We see it clearly in the end, the post-credit scene. It's something to think forward of what they might do now that she's in charge, going, from here on out, I guess. I doubt that they'll bring, Wen Wu back, but you never know. You never know. But this is a book, again, you can still find for pretty cheap. if you go out looking. If you look at the recently sold, I got an example here that I found at $4 with another book. So this is something you can even find online for cheap if you go out hunting and looking through the listings. You can sometimes find a book like this. Granted, it might not be in 9.8 condition, but you're rarely going to find that in a book of this age and this title in general, because this title has been in dollar bins and cheap boxes like forever. So that's why most of this run is there. A lot of people pick clean like the Razor Fists and some of the other first appearances of the other characters like Death Dealer over the last year or so in preparation for the movie, but that spec's kind of done now. Those guys showed up. Razor Fist will be back, but Death Dealer, he's gone. Like I doubt we're going to see him again. But hey, who knows? Who knows? But if you look at what's available for 26, you're going to see there's a couple of copies out there that range, from $15 to $40. I mean, some people are asking a little bit of a premium here for the first appearance of his sister, but The Daughter of Fu Manchu is an interesting book and one you should just keep an eye out for, because like I said, even though it's not a direct connection to his sister from the movies, I still think there's a close enough tie to keep this book interesting, as well as some of the storylines that they might dive into going forward. So we got to start thinking like, all right, where are they going to go from here? Are we going to be seeing other siblings? Are we going to see the Five Weapons Society? I don't know if we'll go there. I think they might. That'd be kind of cool, especially if they tie in like Iron Fist and things like that. But some other oddball plays of things you might find in those cheap boxes for potential villains or antagonists. Because again, if the 10 rings come back on their own, say there's a Disney Plus series that covers the 10 rings, who knows? Maybe she's trying to make it kind of go legit before she goes full on criminal. I don't know the direction that they're going to go with. All we know is she's changing things more in what she would be proud of, I guess. And possibly a character like Tiger Claw here, who first shows up in Giant Size Master of Kung Fu #4, could be a potential antagonist that might bump heads with her going forward. And the reason why, because in the comics, Tiger Claw went after her father, like challenge his organization. But since she's now in charge and we haven't really gotten much stories like that, it might make sense for them to just use this character who could come off pretty cool on screen, depending on how they want to do the Tiger Claw aspects of him, as challenging, Xi Ling. So just the potential. This, again, is a book that's not too pricey and one you might be able to find. Again, Giant Size #4. It is definitely one that you can find out there. It's not one of the more sought after books, and as you can see, recently sold copy, buy it now for $1.50. Not even $1.50. It's $1.49. So even online, this is cheap, or can be found cheap, because even though that copy was only $1.49, if you look at what's available, some of the other copies, granted, still not expensive, but $6 to $19. So anywhere from under $10 up to 20, depending on condition and where you might be getting it. But I'm not saying go buy it for $20. I'm telling you, again, look in the cheap boxes in case you stumble upon it, because you might have found either yourself a couple of bucks if you can get 20 for yours, or you just found yourself a cool book that might end up being something down the line. It's just fun to hunt, right? So that's why I do this and why I put these books out there. It's because I'm not saying these are all just go invest in these books at the market prices. I'm showing you the prices so you can kind of have an idea when you're digging in the boxes, so you can make your call if you find it for cheap, what you want to do with it, whether you want to keep it or whether you want to, move it on your own to go get something else. That kind of call, that's up to you. But the reason why I'm doing Shang-Chi again is, Marco kind of sparked it in my head after us doing our show, and one of the books he brought up in the C list was this Max series, Master of Kung Fu. And I even told him on the show, I was like, I'm going to steal that for dollar bin digging, because I do find that I have found this book, and I still think this is a decent play for potential. So what happens in this Max series, Master of Kung Fu? They tried to darken things up, make it a little more adult, a la like a Vertigo line. That's what they tried to do with Max. And it wasn't completely unsuccessful, but it didn't last for too long. But one of the things that was introduced in this series is Shang-Chi's brother, Moving Shadow, and definitely an interesting character. Now, will they do something like this in the movies? Considering how long his father was around, wouldn't be surprised if in that off time he fathered another kid that might be a surprise return. Like, oh my God, who's this? Well, it's your long lost brother, or not long lost brother, your mystery brother. Who knows? This is something I could see them kind of doing potentially in a subsequent movie. You bring in another brother, right? But are they going to just adapt like this story, or just make it completely Moving Shadow? Maybe. But something else Marco was also explaining is, like, in the meantime, when Fu Manchu in the comics, when Shang-Chi's father had fathered Moving Shadow to kind of be his replacement because he wasn't taking over the business. In the meantime, he had an adoptive kind of son that he kind of had fill that role while he was waiting for Moving Shadow to grow up. And that character is Midnight Sun, or Benai. I don't know if I'm saying that properly, but this Midnight Sun character was kind of like that in between brother. So that's another thing that they might do. They might kind of combine these characters into one. Maybe it's a unknown relative that that they have, or maybe it's not a blood relative that they have, but someone that his father was kind of mentoring when they both left. They both left the house, left the nest. He was keeping track, tags on them, but maybe he was, took a shine to somebody in his group and kind of raised him as his adoptive son. So maybe we see some kind of mashup of Moving Shadow and Midnight Sun coming back in a sequel. It's just a possibility. Now, like I said, this book, this Master of Kung Fu Max series book for Moving Shadow is easy to find. It's not a hard book to track down, especially in those cheap boxes. If you look at what's sold, copy sold for $10. Well, I mean, $10 is not awful. It's something. If you find a book for $1 and you can get 10, could do worse, right? But when you look at what's available, $5 to $35. Wide range. So some people have high asks on some of these books, but you can see what you can find just by going in and searching. But again, I'm not telling you to buy these things online. I'm telling you to look for them in the cheap boxes near you if you can, because this is just kind of fun stuff. The fun little treasures you might just be able to pick out, and hey, maybe it turns into something, maybe it turns into nothing. But the point being, this is something fun to hunt and just kind of get you thinking and looking forward at what we might get. These are all just random ideas just thrown out there against the wall and seeing what might pan out and what doesn't. It's all just fun, and definitely for cheap. This is a thing I like to do personally. But hopefully you enjoyed that and you enjoy this series for that reason, because that's all I'm looking to do. Just trying to give you a few options and some books that you may be able to find for cheap out there still. Now, thanks for stopping in. Let me know what you think, what other things you might want to see. If you don't like this theme, and you just want me to throw out random books that have no connection to one another, I can go back to doing that. But I kind of been sticking with just like a theme and giving you 3 to 4 books each week, running to some kind of like a upcoming movie, show, or a topic that might get interesting from the comics or TV and movies. If you don't think that's something you want to see, let me know and I can switch it up. I can definitely switch it up. I've been doing this 3 years now, dollar bin digging, so I'm always up for trying new things out. So, like I said, thanks for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoy this, and let me know in the comments what you think. Like, subscribe, hit the alert button, tell your friends we get some more people to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next time.